we just gonna rip the band-aid off and open up a whole lot of wounds, okay? I'm about to share some things with y'all that I haven't really shared publicly. Just get it out. At that moment, I was okay with getting mistreated because I felt like I was okay with getting mistreated and, you know, abused because I felt like, well, somebody is finally staying in my life, you know? So that means they love me, and I mistaked being toxic and being abused as love. So when I was younger, about high school, I was dating this guy, and who I really loved. I was dating him for a while, actually. And I really should not have been dating him, but I did it anyway, just like any rebellious teenager would do. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my worth. I didn't know, you know, the relationship that I was in was toxic. I allowed him to do things to me because I desired love so badly. And I just felt like, well, if I'm not getting it from him, then I'm not just gonna get it at all. You know, for a person who didn't have their father at home, and it's not like he was, you know, locked up or dead or anything. It was just by choice that he wasn't in my life. And so I was going around searching for love from all these like places basically that I should not have been doing. And so this guy that I was with, he made me feel, in the beginning, he made me feel like, you know, I love you, I'm gonna always be there for you, I'm not gonna leave you, which is what he told me, which I was used to a lot of guys telling me that, even like, you know, male figures that I've had that's supposed to be father figures, dudes that I was dating at the time was telling me that. So I was so accustomed to hearing men say, I love you, I'm never gonna leave you, I'm always gonna be there, and then they end up leaving. And this guy, you know, I was with him for years, so I thought that that was a relationship for me. And I thought that toxic was for me, if that makes any sense. So this guy would bring girls around me, you know, flirt, cheat, call me out my name, you know, basically verbally abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. The only thing he wasn't was physically abusive. And so at the time, I knew it wasn't right. Like, something in me knew that that just wasn't the relationship that I should have been in. But I was, at that moment, I was okay with getting mistreated because I felt like I was okay with getting mistreated and, you know, abused because I felt like, well, somebody is finally staying in my life, you know? So that means they love me, and I mistaked being toxic and being abused as love. And so it was one day that I just had enough of the cheating and the lying and, you know, the manipulation that I, actually this was on a New Year's Day. And I remember I kept insisting, and I told my mom that I wanted to go to church. I said, I have to go to church because I just wanted out of the relationship. And that particular night, she was like, you know, I don't think that tonight is a good night that we should go. Something is telling me that we should not go. And I just kept insisting. I said, look, I need to go. And at the time, she didn't know I was in a relationship. I was trying to sneak and hide that from her because I just felt like, you know, any teen, like, I'm grown, you know, I want to do what I want to do. And I didn't listen to her. And I remember walking in church, separating from her. I found him, I got him off to a corner, and I was telling him, you know, I think we should talk. And he just kept saying, okay, we're gonna talk. He pulled me to the side, and I remember he took me into a room as church service was going on. And I remember bringing back all his stuff and trying to break off things with him, and he just kept, you know, pulling on me, touching on me. And I remember specifically him telling me that we're not gonna do anything, that it's okay. And I just remember him grabbing me and being like forceful. And I remember trying to fight him off and like tell him no, like, I don't want to do this. And I remember like he raped me. Like he raped me at church. And I remember I kept telling him no. And I just remember like he wasn't listening. And I remember how hard it was to fight for my life, basically. And I just, no matter how hard I could try, I just could not get him off of me. And I just remember like, I can't believe this is happening. And at that time I was a virgin and I didn't want to. I always pictured like I would be married and I would give up my virginity to my husband because that's how it should be. And I wanted this, you know, perfect life, even though nothing is perfect, but I wanted close to that. And I just had these dreams and I just remember I was living in a nightmare, you know. And I was thinking like, I can't believe this is happening. And I said to myself like, I came here to break it off with him. And now I'm leaving with like a scar that he's, you know, raped me, like not molested me, not touched me inappropriately. He actually raped me in church while church service was going on, and I was excluded away from people. And I just remember screaming, no, get off me, and nobody came to help me. And I remember this guy that was a drummer for youth church, and he walked in. I just was in disbelief that this really just happened to me. I will never forget what he said. He was like, what are y'all doing? And I just sat there and I didn't say anything. And my ex, you know, my boyfriend at the time, he was like, you know, we missed each other. And he was like, well, you couldn't wait, y'all couldn't do it in the parking lot, y'all couldn't leave or anything. And I was just looking at him like, I know you're not finna sit up here and lie as if I was just open to having sex with you. Like, this is my first time. I always pictured it being special. You know, I wanted to be able to give my virginity away. And he was just like, well, we gonna wait. I love her, she loves me, and we just wanted it right now. And I remember like the guy, he was saying, why are you not talking? He looked dead in my face and he was like, he said, why aren't you talking? I heard you, you know, like scream. You did all that screaming, but you ain't got nothing to say now. And he was like, the moment this man sat there and said, I stood at the door and I heard everything. And in my head, I was so angry because I was like, I just lost my virginity, not by choice, by force. And I'm screaming for help. And this guy just does nothing. And they both sit there and act as if I decided to do that. I never got to give my virginity to somebody. It was taken from me. Do y'all know how that feels? Like, I was hurt. And one of my friends at the time had went to the church with us. And she was outside just waiting. And while we were in the room, I remember the guy saying, if you don't, he looked at me and he was like, if you don't tell me, you know, start talking or tell me what's going on, then I'm just gonna snitch. Not go for help, snitch. And tell the pastors and everybody in the church that we were just willingly having sex, is what he said. And trying to multitask, but I'm really into it. And I'm trying to hold my tears because I want to cry, but you know, if they come out, then just stay. But honestly, I'm pushing them back. But yeah, so I was angry. I'm like, nobody is helping me. They hear me screaming, and I was like, the audacity of you to sit here and tell me you heard everything. If you were by the door, you should have heard me screaming, no, get off me, I don't want anything, stop and leave me alone. I screamed all of that. And if you were by the door and you tell me you heard every single thing and you didn't come to help, I was so angry. I see my friend sitting there by the door. And before I get to her, my ex at the time, or my boyfriend at the time, he goes to her and goes to a bunch of other people and tell them, like, all happy, go nearly, that we just had sex. And I looked at her and I remember telling her, I said, no, we didn't, like, it wasn't sex, he raped me. And she completely ignored me, like, completely ignored me. So, hey everybody, this is probably like a few months from now. I had to like literally get my life together because it was too much to film the first one. This is the part 2 where I'm a little bit more, I'm okay, like I could talk about it. So let's start back where we left off. I did my brows, I did my primer, and I did like concealer and like my little spots on my acne because it's that time of life. Anyway, I digress. It's talking about my first rape. And you know, we're gonna fast forward a few years later after the first one, and I end up getting raped again by this guy who I was like really, I wasn't that close with, but I still was like friends with him, you know? Yeah, so long story short, he had drugged me, he raped me, and he just was like being mad weird, like, let me not get this on my nails, but he was like being mad weird, talking about how he didn't want me to leave. He wanted me to stay with him forever. And you know, like at first when he started talking about it, I was thinking like maybe he mean like relationship wise. No, he was saying how he didn't want me to leave his house. Like he wanted me to be there all the time. Like I could never leave. And he wanted me to like move in with him. And like that day, he didn't want me to leave like at all. I was like, that's a red flag for me. It made me feel like, okay, he's really psycho, because why all of a sudden would you say like, oh, I don't want you to go and you need to just be at my house all the time? It was kind of like, I mean, I can't really consider it kidnapping because I wasn't a kid, I was like a grown adult, but he was like trying to basically hold me hostage without just coming out and saying he was trying to hold me hostage. And he was like, well, I don't want you to go, I want you to be around me all the time in my house. He kept making emphasis like, in my house, I want you to be with me. And so I was like, okay, that's a red flag. He's very much crazy, so let me not do anything alarming to like ruffle any feathers. If he is psycho, which it was sounding like it, I was like, let me just act calm and act normal so he don't explode and try to do anything worse. So now he did drug me, and I wasn't like, I was out of it, but I was still like aware enough to know I was being raped, you know? And so I was just like, let me just be calm, because he didn't want me to leave. And like I remember he kept like holding on to me, like he wouldn't let me like move away from under him. That was another thing that really like kind of made me feel like, well, maybe he is crazy. I ended up leaving, getting away from him. And I ended up contacting my mom, and I like told her what was going on. And I had went to the hospital, and they had checked me out and everything, and they said they had found evidence that it was actually indeed a rape. They had put me with an investigation cop who was gonna help me on the case because I had reported that it was a rape and everything, and they got the police involved and all of that. And so the investigation cop that they put me with, like, this man literally did absolutely nothing to help. And what like really bothered me is the fact that like, okay, he told me he met with the guy and he was trying to get his side of the story. And so even though he did go and meet with the guy, he had told me and made me feel as if, oh my God, I got your back, I'm gonna help you, this and other. But like, he really didn't do nothing. So I had told this man, I was like, this guy is stalking me, he's calling me nonstop from all these different numbers, he's making me feel uncomfortable. And he was like, well, and I had told him, I was like, I'm trying to get a restraining order. He didn't want to help me get a restraining order at all. I had asked him, you know, to help me get a restraining order because I knew nothing about that. At least, you know, set me up to the people that I can get it from if I couldn't get it directly from him. He didn't want to help me get to the people that could help me get the restraining order. Now, when the people for the restraining order, I had knew it was in the same building, but they told me to go through the investigation cop. So that's what I was doing. But he didn't want to help me get a restraining order. And all this man told me was, well, I can't help you get a restraining order, but all you can do is really just tell him to stop talking to you. This is what made me mad when he was like, I can't help you get a restraining order, but what you can do is just, you know, go ahead and answer the guy and tell him to just stop talking to you. Anybody who has truly been in a domestic violence relationship or situation, or sexual assault situation, or sexual, you know, abuse situation in general, know that telling the abuser to just leave me alone is not going to work. So like, what kind of advice is that? Like, that's what made me mad, because I'm like, you supposed to be there to help me and you're not even helping me. You just telling me to tell him to like stop, but that's not gonna do nothing but add fuel to the fire, especially if he's psychotic and like actually have some type of mental disorder. That's not doing nothing but making it worse. This guy literally stalked me for like 3+ years. He would literally call me from 30 or more numbers every single day, like non-stop, and it was just like really weird. I even took a screenshot, and I was like, you know, emailing my private investigator all of this proof that this guy is like literally stalking me. And what was crazy is he still took this man's side, like still took his side. He believed him over me. I was just like really hurt, because I'm like, here you literally have all this evidence that I'm being stalked, and you still won't help me. And you're supposed to like, this is supposed to be your job. This is supposed to be what you do. And you're not even taking your job seriously. Like, what if something else could have happened that was worse than that? And all he did was say, I'm gonna just put it in your file. I was so hurt, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm like, after all of this in both rapes, I literally learned something so unhealthy. And it was that, one, I learned to always internalize my issues and just never deal with them, like bury them deep down inside and just ignore them and act like they just never happened. And two, I learned to never speak about what I'm going through or my issues, because, you know, no one ever cares. At least they never care enough to help. And then three, I also learned that I should just suffer in silence. And even though I knew that none of these were true, I had literally convinced myself that that was the truth. I was pretending for years that I was okay, but on the inside, I was completely miserable, like seriously miserable. It was eating me up alive, and it started to show over the years. It started to really show that I had something, you know, that was going on that I wasn't really speaking of. So, I mean, it's never okay to suppress your issues and not deal with them, because trust me, they will come out sooner or later. They will, and it did for me. So what was crazy though for me is that when I did give the officer the information and stuff for this guy, they told me, they were like, this is not, you know, like, this person doesn't exist. It's like, it's no person with this name and information that you gave us. He doesn't work at, you know, the job he gave you. This is not his, you know, biological name. I don't know who it is. So they ended up having to find this guy from like the fingerprints and DNA and everything from the, I think it's called a rape scan or something like that. They found that. That's how they found the guy. So when I like gave them the information and they told me that, I was like, okay, so that's weird. Who is this guy? Because this man literally created an entire identity that wasn't even his. That freaked me out even more, because I'm like, who is he really? Because if you can lie enough to tell me a whole entire identity, I mean, he literally created an entire person. He told me he was like a certain nationality that he's not. He told me like this whole background that he was at wasn't true. He told me a job he was at. They called up to the specific job to try to find him and locate him, and that job said that he never worked there. They never had a, you know, a guy in that position who was named that. They never heard of anybody. They never seen anybody like that. And it just made me panic, because I'm like, okay, so if you could lie about that, and then you're lying about raping me, and then they took his side and he lied. Like, it's just really messed up how this world is just so corrupt, child. So corrupt. And, you know, it just made me kind of feel like, okay, something really has to be wrong with him mentally. The fact that you can stalk me after what you did for 3 years, and the fact that you're denying what you did, and you're still calling me. Like, any normal person would catch a hint. If you just rape somebody and they're not answering the phone after that, and you're still blowing them up every single day, 30 plus times a day from different numbers, trying to get their attention for 3+ years, and they still haven't talked to you since the day you raped them, like, something is not clicking in your head. A normal person would have just gave up after the first like 2 or 3 times of calling them, but 3 years you're still calling me? No, something is wrong with you. And I just remember, like, one day I ended up getting a message from him, and he was like, I can't believe that you would call the cops, and how dare you sit up here and try to come up against me and say that I raped you, and you know that I didn't rape you and I didn't drug you. Why would you try to like mess up my name like that? I'm like, first off, I don't even know who you are. It could be just this mystery man that you gave me. Like, it's something like, what is not going on in your head? I don't understand that. But anyway, I digress. I had to really, after that, I was just really going through a lot, because I was already shaken up at the fact that I was raped, not once, but twice. I still tried to speak out about it and nobody helped. Like, during this time, I had suffered, during the time between both rapes and even after both rapes, I had suffered extremely bad with depression, anxiety, even post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, suicide thoughts, and even like a suicide attempt.
And I just want to say this to someone who's been flirting with the idea of suicide. You can't die. Because even though you feel like your life doesn't matter right now, if you don't break this generationally, if you don't stand up and decide to live and survive and move forward and find a way into the next season of your life, you will pass along the same spirit that has tormented you.
Because I was literally battling so much on the inside that I didn't tell anybody, because I kind of felt like I was alone, like I was the only one dealing with this, and I like really didn't understand. Like, I felt like I was going crazy. I'm just like, why is all these things happening to me? That's why you really have to be careful who you sleep with, because even if it's a rape, you just have to be careful with who you involved with, because people, you don't know what type of, demons or anything that, people dealing with, because that soul ties is real, baby. They attach to you. So I was just going through so much, and I wasn't like really speaking on what I was going through, because I felt like nobody understood what I was going through, which was so not true, because there's so many people in the world that are dealing with the same thing that I dealt with. And I don't know, I just didn't know. I didn't want to talk about it. I was just scared. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. It was like so much that was going on, because, for a while I thought, well, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm getting myself to these situations. And it's never, when you've been abused, you always think, okay, well, maybe I'm the problem. And it's not. It's the people that, the abuser, they're the problem. So don't ever think that it's you.
Like, I experienced sexual abuse from an early age, bro, that left a hole in my heart that led me to feel it in other places, whether it was voids or relationships. And literally, if it had not been for Jesus, like, I know for a fact I would have lost my mind. And I know I'm not the only one, but there are so many out there who are hurting today from that, because that's their story. It doesn't come from without, it comes from within. Like, what do you do when the violator isn't far, but he's near? So how do you deal with that and still have to sing to other people about a healer, and you're still broken, man? Like, that hurts, man. And it hurt for a very long time. Well, yes, the weapon did form. He took my choice, but he didn't take my calling. And so at that time, God literally said, listen, I allowed you to go through this for a reason. Why? To mention to other people that, hey, you don't have to be your experience, man. Everybody may not receive Christ from our story, but everybody deserves healing. Yeah.
I would never really be flaky on any of my friends until like after these 2 incidents, because I was battling so much just emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, that no one knew about. This is why I say all the time, like, it is very important to always check on your friends, your family, even people that's not your friends or family. It's just always okay to check on somebody, because you never know what people are battling behind closed doors. You never know what somebody is going through. And just saying, hey, how are you doing? Or checking on somebody, that goes a long way. That means a lot to people. So even though I was going through all of this, it would really like bother me so bad that like all my friends would just constantly throw in my face how I would just disappear for months at a time. And to me, instead of them actually checking on me and seeing the reason why I was disappearing for months. Because to me, it feels like, okay, if a person always used to be there and I always used to hear from somebody and then all of a sudden they just keep disappearing for months at a time, that should be alarming to anybody. Like, it shouldn't just be like, oh, well, I'm used to that and that's just how she is now and so it don't bother me. No, you should be bothered because that's not normal. If somebody just disappeared for months, even if that's how they are, you still should, you know, be concerned. Like, maybe I'm different. Maybe I look at it differently, but still, I think I'm naturally a nurturing person. And so if I don't hear from, you know, certain people, or just in general, if I'm used to talking to you and then you just disappear for months constantly, I'm gonna want to know, like, I care about people, so I'm gonna want to know, like, hey, is everything okay? Like, you good? Like, you want to talk, you want to vent, something, because to me that's just alarming for somebody to just randomly just disappear for months at a time and then they come back and then they disappear again. Like, that's not okay to me. That's why I say check on people, because you never know what people are going through internally. Like, you don't know who life you could save by literally just sitting there and doing something as simple as listening and letting them vent to you. And you being there and being a support system to them. You don't know who life you could save. You should never shun away anybody, because you never know who you're turning away. Like, that could be an assignment from God and you could fail it just by not being obedient and checking on somebody. A person should just never be too good to help somebody in need. Nobody is that good to help somebody in need. Nobody, trust me. So this is why, you know, the friends, and they know who they are, but the friends who would always throw in my face how, you know, I left all the time and how I would be disappearing, that would be a trigger for me, because they didn't know how much or like what all I was like battling and going through. So it would definitely bother me a lot, because I'm a person that does suffer in silence. And not saying that, oh my God, like, I'm mad at you because you didn't know and like I'm just expecting you to know what's going on. No, I'm not saying it in that sense. I was upset at the fact that you would constantly throw in my face, oh, well, you always gone, that's just you, and you not even be concerned enough to try to see what's going on with me. Like, it's just the thought that counts to me. Like, if somebody was gone, I would just think, okay, something is wrong with them, so let me just check on them. Or even if, you know, they're not gone, I will always check on the person. So it just would hurt me more that my friends would like not care enough to even check on me and see if something was wrong. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like that. I suffer in silence because I kind of felt like my voice wasn't even being heard, and people wouldn't even just be thoughtful enough, I guess that's the word I'm trying to say, like thoughtful enough to just come to you and be like, well, you know, I'm just checking on you, seeing how you doing. You know, I ain't heard from you in a while. You know, if you're supposed to be my friend, be a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just, it just bothered me. But I just felt like my voice wasn't being heard. And like, when I tried to open up to people and tried to let them know what was going on, it was like they just brushed it off as if it was just insignificant. Of course, my mom helped when I let her know what was going on, but other than her, it was like nobody would even try to help. It just, to me, actions speak louder than words. I don't want to hear you tell me, oh, I care and I love you and I'll be there. But in the same breath, when I give you the opportunity and I open up about being, you know, I was, you know, violated and had my like innocence taken from me, in that same breath, when I reached out and tried to get help, and then you want to ignore me. So do you really care? Like, do you really like genuinely want to help me? Or are you just saying that because that's, you know, the right thing to do? I don't like being lied to. If you're not going to be there, I'd rather you just not say it. Don't get my hopes up that you're gonna be there and you're not. You know what I'm saying? That's something that will give somebody trust issues. Like, anybody, that's why I say anybody can say anything until you prove that to me and show me that you really are there to help me and you really care about what's going on to me. Then I'm not gonna believe you, because people can say anything. So in saying all of this, instead of me actually trying to get help, I would just literally not, I wouldn't want to talk about it, I wouldn't want to think about it, I wouldn't want to like deal with them, I wanted to suppress them. And when I know I should have been getting help, I just didn't feel like it was necessary. until I started lashing out a lot. That's when I felt like, okay, maybe I do need to get some help. Maybe it's something, you know, more that I'm not dealing with that I need to deal with. I didn't feel like counseling was for me until, you know, I just started randomly lashing out at people all the time. And I was like, what in the heck is wrong with me? Because it would be like for no reason at all. And it just was like really weird. And I was like, okay, maybe something is wrong with me. And so when I went to counseling, you know, it made me figure out that I definitely had PTSD, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't helping me at all. I did realize it was a problem, but it wasn't helping me solve that problem, if that makes sense. And now I'm not saying that counseling, you know, won't help for everybody, because some people it will, some people it won't, but it just wasn't helping for me. So I finally went to the one person that I know for a fact could help, but I just totally lost sight of who could help me, you know, with my situation. And that was God himself. And, you know, for years, I was ashamed to, you know, come back to him because I thought that he would be upset. I thought that he hated me. I thought that he didn't love me. I thought that he was angry with me. None of that, honestly, was true at all. And it was actually the opposite. And a lot of people are very scared to come to him because they feel like, oh, I need to clean myself up before I go to him. I need to be perfect. And that's not the case. He's actually very attracted to broken people. He likes helping people. He likes for you to come to him so he can help you fix your problems. It's crazy because society, you know, makes people feel like, oh my God, I have to be perfect. I have to clean myself up before I even come to him and talk to him. And that's so not the case, like at all. He's like a very compassionate person. He will never force himself on you. So society forcing it on you, that's society, honey. God don't ever force himself on nobody. He's very compassionate. He's very loving and very understanding. But people won't actually know that unless they talk to him themselves. But see, that's what it is. It's a relationship with God. A relationship with God is just that, an actual relationship. So I think, coming from experience, I don't think you should let any outside influences influence your relationship when it comes to God. You should talk to him and see for yourself, honestly. You should. And I know it's hard. Trust me, I really do know it's hard. It's very hard, you know, opening up to somebody, and especially somebody you may or may not know. It's very hard, and life is hard at that. But if you're gonna open up to somebody, why not open up to a person that can, you know, actually help you and actually cares enough to help you? And now, the only reason I'm telling you guys this, because I don't want you to think that I'm ever trying to force God on anybody or Christianity on anybody, because that is extremely not the case. You know, I've been through that where people try to force God on you, and it's very uncomfortable, and I don't even like it myself. It turns me off. So that, please don't take it that way. It's not that. I'm just telling you what works for me and what got me to the place in my life where I'm at, which was God. It wasn't, you know, counseling. Counseling, I feel like, starts the process, but it definitely doesn't finish it. I had to like want to change. I had to want to get better, and I had to come to him and let him know everything that I was going through, even though he already knows. But I still had to open up and give him a chance to try to show me a better way, and try to show me that, you know, you're more than what you are. You're worth more than what you're getting, you know, done to you, and you don't deserve to be treated like this. You know, you a queen. Put your crown on your head and realize who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to realize that from him. And I didn't get it from no counselor. I didn't get it from, you know, any outside sources. I got it from God. And so I'm not trying to force God on you. I'm just, you know, showing you a better way or an option that may work for you if you're going through this situation. Because I don't want anybody to suffer. I just want, you know, you guys to have help and genuine help. But the more that I literally spend time with him every day, the more that I, you know, would talk to him and release all my burdens to him and tell him what's going on. I would release all my trauma and everything that I was just, you know, dealing with to him, the more that I started to feel free, and like, you know, I had this weight lifted off of me that I just was not going through anymore. Now, I can say, honestly, he did help me get in a better place, but the one thing that took the longest for me is forgiving and letting go of the pain, but forgiving my abuser for doing it to me. Because at first I had to forgive myself, because I used to think I was the problem. I thought I was the issue, and I thought that it was my fault, and you know, that was not the case. It was not my fault. So after I got through that process, I had to definitely forgive my abusers, which took years to do. It took years to actually forgive them because I was so angry. And how I am, I wanted to get revenge. I wanted them to hurt how they made me hurt. And that's not okay. That's not the best thing to do, because you should allow God to get the revenge for you. But I was so angry and I didn't want to let it go. And for years I thought, well, if I hold on to them, they don't deserve to be forgave. They don't deserve to be let off the hook. That's how I was thinking. And not realizing that it's not really hurting them, that's hurting me, because that's hindering me from being free. So I had to realize, okay, it's kind of like that saying when they say not forgiving somebody is like you drinking poison and hoping that the other person who hurt you gets affected by it. It's only affecting you, child. And then for years I'll be angry and why they just getting off the hook, and why they have to do this to me, and woe is me. And I felt like that for years. But I'm like, we all go through stuff. We all go through so much. And I had to stop having the victim mindset. I had to stop having the victim mindset and get out of the victim mindset and realize I'm not what happened to me. You're more than that. You're a beautiful, woman. And, what happens to you, it happened to you. But that's not who you are. And so I had to just say, you know what? I want to get better. I want to forgive. I want to let go. And in order for me to do that, I have to I want to be free is what I was saying. I want to be free. But in order for me to be free, I have to let go and I have to forgive them, because if I don't, it's just going to hinder me from being free. But the thing is, though, you literally have to want to be free, because anybody could sit here and constantly say, I'm ready. I can't take this no more. I can't deal with it no more. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. People gonna say that all they like, but until they ready to let go, honey, they're not gonna let go. And people could go the extra mile to try to help them and try to get them fixed. But if somebody does not want to be free and they don't want to stop dealing with it, they're not gonna be. They're gonna be stuck. So it's not saying don't give up on those people, but until you're ready for change and you're taking those extra steps to try to heal yourself, if you're not doing that, then you will forever be stuck in bondage, and you'll forever be sitting there talking saying, I want to be free, I want to be free. You don't want to be free, because if you're not trying to make the effort to try to heal yourself, you don't want to be free. And so for me, I was tired of being tired. And that's no shade to counseling, none at all, because I'm a psychology major myself. I love psychology, but I feel like, honestly and truthfully, they're not gonna tell you psychology. Honestly, well, depending on what you're going for, it only helps with so much. Depending on what you're going for, it only helps with so much. Certain things you can get free from by going to counseling. And sorry, I got makeup in my nose ring, but yeah, certain stuff works with counseling. I'm not gonna, it's no shade to counseling at all, because I feel like it does work, but for some situations it doesn't. And I feel like counseling starts the process towards, your healing process and trying to, get better, because it's a whole other step trying to actually go to counseling. Not a lot of people try to go to counseling. So for you to go to counseling, that's a step, and it shows that you actually want to get better, and you want to take those steps to heal. But you actually have to be consistent in going to counseling. You have to be consistent when it comes to trying to heal and get through those traumas. Yeah, it's hard to understand for domestic violence and sexual assault situations. It's very hard to try to understand what somebody is going through or dealt with, unless you have dealt with yourself. For example, let's just say if you're a married couple and you want to go to marriage counseling. 9 times out of 10, if you go to a marriage counselor, you're gonna expect them to have some type of experience in marriage, because why would you go to a marriage counselor who has never been married and that's single? Would you really honestly take advice from them? Because it's anybody who has been married and who has experienced marriage or who is married, they will be able to tell you that married life is completely opposite from what the books say, from what single folks say. It's very opposite. It's its own experience, and it's a full-time job itself. So would you honestly take advice from a single person? That is a red flag in its own. They're gonna be looking at you like, why would I take advice from you? We married, you ain't never experienced marriage. All you doing is telling me what you learn in a textbook, and I guarantee you 95% of that is not true. Everything in marriage is a learning experience. Just like when it comes to being a parent, would you take parenting advice from somebody who ain't ever had kids? It's the same thing. That's why I say it would be very hard for somebody to even be receptive to what you have to say if you've never experienced it. But it's the same for like PTSD or sexual assault, domestic violence. Anybody who's been in that, it's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. How can you try to tell me how to deal with that or how to process it emotionally or mentally if you ain't never dealt with it? It's the same thing with depression, same thing with suicide, same thing, you know, PTSD, sexual assault, all of that. Because a person who haven't been in a sexual assault situation, they'll be like, well, if I was in that situation, I would just leave and I wouldn't even put myself in that situation. But that's easier said than done. You don't know that person's situation. You don't know, the dynamic of their relationship. It's very hard to try to say. You can't really say what somebody would do or how their reaction should be if you've never been in that situation. You feel me? You understand it better when you've been in that situation, not just trying to tell me about something you learned in a textbook. Now, by all means, I do feel like you should contact those hotline crises, and I will definitely insert a few that you guys can contact that I trust and I know for a fact they're good, that I highly recommend. However, it's a difference with going to somebody who has a passion for it and who's interested in it, and they just like the subject and they have a drive to help. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because that is, they should, have a passion for it. But it's a difference when you go to somebody who has been through it. They can tell you it's gonna be all right, because you see that they have overcome it. You see they've had the same emotions you've had. They went through the same exact thing, the crying, the sleepless nights, and the going to different type of things to try to fill that void. It's a difference, okay? I think you should go, because, it is one step to help it. And I do recommend those that I have, showed you guys. I do recommend those because they are good. Now, everybody may not help in life. That is just the sad truth about it. Just, I guess, the world that we live in. Like, you can always talk to me. You may not feel comfortable talking to those crisis centers. You may not feel comfortable to even talk to your friends or your family, but you can talk to me for sure. So anything we talk about, it's going to be a safe place. It goes no further than what me and you discuss. So if you feel like talking to me, that's fine, because I've been through it. I've been through the depression. I've been through the anxiety. I've been through, the sleepless nights, the crying. I've been through, the rape. I've been through just losing myself and not loving myself. I've been through all of that. So I do understand where it comes, and I honestly genuinely care for you guys and people who has ever dealt with this situation. And it's not an easy task to deal with, especially if you're by yourself. So if you do feel like you need to talk to somebody, you can always talk to me. Yeah, you don't have to put it in the comments if you don't feel comfortable. I would definitely add my email right here, so you guys can email me and we can talk. You can let me know, just let it out. Then I will definitely be there for you. I will definitely listen, because I understand. And I don't want you guys to hold it in like I did, because that not be a good idea to hold it in. So if you need somebody to talk to, you have me. But I for sure want to start a program where I can help those who have even, been through it or is going through it right now. I want to start a program where I can help you guys make it out and heal from it and overcome, your situation, because you're not alone. You're not alone at all. You're not the only one that has dealt with it, and your voice should be heard, and your voice will be heard. And, you are what matters. You should love yourself and know that it will be okay. And I'm definitely open to helping anybody who is serious with getting help and seriously want to heal and better themselves. Again, like I said, I do not want you guys to feel that I'm pushing Christ down your throat. I'm just letting you know what is a good option that helped me get through what I got through in this time when it comes to those rapes, and what helped me overcome it. I do want to start a program where I can help you guys if you went through the same thing, or if you're going through the same thing now. I want to help you overcome it, and I want to help you heal and get out of the situation, and start to love yourself, know your worth, and know that you better than that. You don't deserve being with that. And I'll be your big sister. You feel me? Because we all gonna glow up together. You worth much more than that. So I definitely want to help anybody that's open and willing to be helped, and that's serious about being helped and serious about overcoming their struggles when it comes to this, and wants to heal genuinely. I want to reiterate, I'm definitely not trying to force God and nobody, down nobody's throat. I'm not trying to force Christianity on you, but if you know, child, you know, because when I tell you I've been through so much more that I haven't even told y'all, baby, God is really good.
But what did you learn from that whole experience? Just having to go through what you went through.
God is great.
Is it that simple?
God is great. Don't get no simpler than that, bro.
Did you know that? I mean, everybody knows that, but the way you know it now, did you know it before that incident took place?
You can know it all you want, but until you got to pick up that cross that you can't carry, and he picks it up for you and carries you and the cross, then you know.
It's so wild that I went from not knowing who I was to like, baby, I know me. I love me. I know my worth. You feel me? I wasn't even like loving myself, and now I love myself, baby. I'm so happy. I have so much joy in me that's like pure joy. It's like when I can't even describe how happy I am. I know my worth. I love myself, child. It's baby. The confidence is here. You feel me? It's real. It makes me happy though. I'm not even gonna lie, because I've been through so much. Y'all wouldn't even believe half the stuff I would have been through if I would have told you. I came a long way, baby. I went from all of that to not knowing who I was, not even loving myself, not knowing my worth, baby, to being so confident of who I am and not settling for nothing. Not baby, you better come correct now. I'm so genuinely happy. It's just crazy. Sometimes I look back at all I've been through and how far I came, and I still got a long way to go. I'm not perfect. Nobody is, But it's just crazy to me, because I'm like, dang, I went through all of that, and look at me now.
I am that I am. You need peace? I am. You need support? I am. Do you need financial provision? I am. God says I'll be whatever you need, whenever you need it. The problem is they were looking for something natural to be their super. But God says I step into your natural and I make your natural supernatural. And I don't know who needed to hear this, but everything you're looking for, I am has responded. I am is here. Oh, you're lonely. I am is here. I'll be your comforter. I'll teach you not just how to be okay, I'll teach you how to love yourself. I'll teach you how to make it hard for a Negro to get up in your situation. Because hold on, you're not coming in here messing up all the joy and the peace that God has given me. You can't interrupt this river that I found. You got to come and add to this. But you cannot come and subtract for this. Not for a little bit of,
Hair flip, you feel me? I know what I deserve, baby, and I ain't settling for less. You feel me? But yeah, child, I just want to share you guys my story. If nothing more, I just want to help one person, maybe even two people. And I definitely told you I want to do the program for sure, so I can help you guys if you have, or if you are going through it now, or if you know anybody that's going through it, definitely send them this video and let them try to be a part of my program too. My email is right here, and I'll also put it in the description as well, so you guys can contact me if you don't want to put it in the comments and you don't want to tell your story. I'm definitely open to hearing you guys' stories or hearing other people's stories. If you know them, put it down in the comments down below. If you don't feel comfortable with that, then email it to me, because I want to know if other people have dealt with this too. If you made it this far in this video, the keyword for today is survivor. because we all are survivors, child. We all have gone through something. It may not be to the extent of what I went through, or what, you know, somebody else went through, but we've all have gone through something. I will also put down in the description, and maybe even the comments if I can, you know, 2 preachers that have helped me tremendously during this time that I was going through, with Furtick and Michael Todd. And I will put a list of songs that helped me get through this time as well. With all this being said, yes, I know this video is long, but it's well worth it. I do want to end off this video saying that I genuinely care about all of you guys. I don't want you guys suffering with anything. I'm always here for you guys to talk to me. I will gladly be your big sis. You feel me? Because we have transformed over the years. We've been through a lot. We've suffered. We all have. But I want y'all to know y'all can boss up and transform, do that healing. I want you to forgive and love your neighbor. I want you to boss up, because you finna prove all of them wrong. They hurt you. They thought they could hurt you, but they can't never hurt a real one. You feel me? It may not seem like it right now, but trust me, I am a living witness. And I used to think that was so like cliche, like, oh my God, they always say that. That's just in the movies and the TV. That don't really be happening. People don't ever heal. People don't ever like try to glow up and actually glow up from the inside, not the outside. And I'm a living witness to show you that it is true that if you work on yourself and do the healing and forgive those who have hurt you, trust me, it's living proof. We can glow up. You got this. You're stronger than what you may think you are. You may not think that you're stronger. You may not think that you will ever get through this, but you will. You got this. Trust me, you got my back, and I mean just that. You feel me? And that's a fact. Yeah. Bars? No, but for real, now you really got this. I'm here for you guys. I love you guys genuinely. Please don't hold it in. Don't, please. Let me help you guys, and I don't want any of you guys to give up. We're gonna get through this together. And I do want to let you guys know, anybody that has ever been raped, molested, violated in any way sexually, you definitely can get your purity back. Don't ever let nobody tell you that you can't get your purity back. Your innocence may have been taken from you, but you can get your purity back, and the steps that you could take to get your purity back. You gonna get through this. You gonna overcome this. I'm speaking positivity into your life. We gotta speak it into existence. It may not feel like it right now, and it may not look like it right now, but you will definitely overcome this. You got this. Just, I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves. Love yourself. Know that you are worth it, and you got this.
Accept yourself. Love yourself. Accept yourself. Love yourself. It starts with you. It starts with you.